all. In our today's class, we are going to discuss a new chapter called semiconductors. Actually, this is a modern physics concept. Actually, this is also called as solid state physics or solid state electronics. This semiconductor comes under solid state electronics. Actually, we also call semiconductors as youngest child of physics. Actually, this was established in later 1960s. Okay, this is an alternative for vacuum tubes. Okay, in first generation of computers, they were using vacuum tubes for the electrical conductivity. After the invention of these semiconductors, they were using this as a electrical conductivity. Why? Because this is small in nature, low cost, and this has high efficiency than vacuum tubes. That's why we are using semiconductors in all our electronic communication. Okay. Now let us come to the point of semiconductors. Before going to the semiconductor, we should see something about energy level diagram, and based on that energy level diagram only, we have divided the elements into three parts. Okay. Here we have two energy levels. This is upper or higher energy level, and this one is lower energy level. Okay, energy level consisting of layers. Actually, energy levels will be like this. This is the zeroth energy level of a lower energy level. This is maximum point. This is maximum point of energy level. This is zeroth position of energy level, and this is zeroth position of higher energy level, and this is the maximum level of a higher energy level. This lower energy level and higher energy level are called as valence band and conduction band. Lower energy level is called as valence band, and higher energy level is called as conduction band. These are the two energy levels which we see in our solid state electronics or solid state physics. Without the concept of energy level, it is very hard to understand what is the meaning of conductor, insulator and semiconductors. But here we have some gap between these two energy levels. Okay, or we can also call this as energy band. We can call this energy level, or we can also call this as energy band. This is energy level diagram or energy band diagram. This gap between energy levels is called as energy gap. We used to call the gap between or the difference between lower level of conduction band and higher level of valence band is known as energy gap. This is the higher level of a valence band. This is a lower level of a conduction band, or we can also generally call this as the difference between conduction band and valence band is known as energy gap. We can directly say it like that, but generally we have to see the maximum of valence band or minimum of conduction band. The difference between maximum of valence band and the minimum of conduction band is known as energy gap of a material. Okay, this is how we can explain the energy gap. Usually valence band is denoted by EC, capital EC, in terms of energy level. Okay, or we can also write this as VC, valence band. This is EV. Valence band, energy level of a valence band, or we can also write like this, or we can also write like this. First energy level is also called as valence band. We can call this conduction band as E2 or EC or CB. We can call this as CB. These are the general terms we can see in valence band and conduction band. This is all about energy level diagram. Okay. Using this energy level diagram only, we can able to explain the concept of semiconductor, conductors and insulators. Here let us see what is the meaning of conductors. What is conductor? Actually, based on this energy level diagram, if we can explain the concept of conductors, that is, if the difference between the valence band and the conduction band is approximately zero, if the difference between the valence band and the conduction band is approximately zero, above 0 degree Kelvin, we can call such type of substances called as conductors. For example, let us assume this as a valence band, conduction band. And let us assume this as a valence band. Okay. The energy gap between valence band and the conduction band is approximately zero. In case of a conductors, the energy gap between valence band and conduction band is approximately zero. Such type of materials are called as conductors. Or in case of conductors, the number of free electrons in valence band is more. Conduction band. The number of free electrons in conduction band is more in case of conductors. And the energy gap between valence band and conduction band is approximately zero. Or these two levels are overlaps with each other. Okay. For example, if we consider this as a valence band and this as a valence band, this as a conduction band, the energy gap between these two energy levels is approximately overlapping with each other. Okay, they are almost overlapping with each other. That is why we used to call energy gap in case of a conductors is very less, or it is approximately equal to zero. Okay, in case of insulators, here in conduction band the number of free electrons is more, above 0 degree Kelvin. Okay. In case of insulators, the energy levels are very far from each other. In case of insulators, the energy levels are very far from each other. We used to call this as a conduction band and this as a valence band. The difference between valence band and conduction band is very large. Okay, the difference between conduction band and the valence band is very large. Energy gap is more than 3 electron volt, or energy gap is very large. That means the electron transition does not take place in case of insulators. What is the meaning of electron transition? The electron has to jump from valence band to the conduction band. Again it has to jump from conduction band to the valence band. This is actually energy transition. In case of conductors, it is very easy. If we supply some amount of energy to these conductors, the electrons were placed in the valence band, absorbs that energy and it can easily jump to the conductor. Again it will come back to its initial state called valence band. This is electron transition, or we can also call that as energy transition in case of metals or materials. But in case of insulators, the number of free electrons in the ground state, if they absorb some amount of energy, they are not going to cross the gap between valence band and conduction band. It is very hard to jump from valence band to the conduction band because the gap is very large. Okay, that is why it is not possible to the electrons to the jump to the insulators. And which are the examples for conductors and insulators? Actually, more than 80% of materials are very good conductors in nature. Okay, in our nature, the more than 80% of the metals or some of the non-metals also good conductors for electricity. For example, water. Impure water is also very good conductor for electricity. That is why we can call different types of metals or some kind of liquids as a conductors. Which are they? For example, iron, gold, cobalt, nickel, and silver, copper. These are the best examples for conductors, and the examples for insulators are also there. Those are rubber and plastic, glass, wood, stone. These are the examples for insulators. In case of insulators, the conductivity doesn't take place because the energy gap between conduction band and valence band is very high. That is why the electron transition does not take place in case of an insulator. And the gap between conductor and insulator is also called as forbidden gap. The energy gap in case of insulators is also called as forbidden gap. What is the meaning of forbidden gap? That doesn't takes a electron transition in case of insulators. This is all about conductors and insulator. If we know the concept of conductors and insulators, it is very easy to understand the concept of semiconductors. In case of conductors, the energy gap between conduction band and valence band is very low, or the conduction band and valence band is overlapping with each other. That's why we have written energy gap as 0. In case of insulators, the energy gap between valence band and conduction bands is very high. That is why we used to call that energy gap as forbidden gap, and the energy gap should be greater than 3 electron volt in case of an insulator. But in case of a semiconductor, the energy gap between valence band and conduction band is approximately 3 electron volt. The gap between conduction band and valence band in case of a semiconductor is moderate. Okay, that is not too less, that is not too large. Okay, the gap is not too less and the gap is not too large. And the energy level or energy gap of a semiconductor lies between conductors and the insulators. Energy gap of a semiconductor lies between conductor and the insulator. Here the more important thing is the number of free electrons in case of a conduction band is very less compared to the conductors and very high compared to the insulators. Number of free electrons in case of a semiconductor is very less compared to the case of a conductors, very high compared to the case of a insulators. Conductors has more number of free electrons in conduction band. Insulators doesn't have any electrons, free electrons in case of a conduction band. And in semiconductors, the number of free electrons in conduction band is normal, or we can call that as moderate. Moderate means that is medium. Okay. Here the energy gap of this semiconductor is approximately 3 electron volts. Then we can make a definition of a semiconductor. What is the semiconductor means? The conductivity or resistivity. We can call that as conductivity or resistivity. If a conductivity of the material or resistivity of the material lies between conductors and insulators are known as semiconductors. Okay. Once again, I'll repeat the semiconductor definition. If the conductivity or resistivity Conductivity means what? The transition has to take place between the two energy levels. Here also the transition is taking place, and here that is not happening. Okay, in case of conductors and semiconductors it is going to happen, but in case of insulators it is not. That is why we can call that as conductivity. In terms of conductors, the conductivity is very high. Conductivity in case of conductors it's very high. In case of insulator is low. Why it is low? Because the resistance of these materials is very high. If resistance more means the conductivity is very less. That is why resistance in case of insulators, the conductivity concept is low means the resistivity is high. But here conductivity is high means the resistivity is low in case of a conductor. But in case of a semiconductor, the conductivity and resistivity of the material lies between these conductors and insulators. This is all about semiconductor. And which are the examples for this semiconductor? And the example for this semiconductor are silicon and germanium. Examples for semiconductors are silicon and germanium. Actually, these are the naturally occurring element. We don't want to manufacture by combining two or three elements. Actually, we can see this in our nature. This is all about semiconductors. Examples for conductors, most of the metals, and iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, gold, silver, like this. And for insulators, wood, rubber, plastic, glass, stone, this kind of materials are example for insulators. And for semiconductors, silicon and germanium. Let us see further about this semiconductor. And we got the concept of semiconductor. There are two different types of semiconductors. In our solid state physics, we have two different types of semiconductor, and which are they? The two different types of semiconductors are intrinsic semiconductor, and the next one is extrinsic semiconductor. Intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor. What is the meaning of intrinsic semiconductor and what is the meaning of extrinsic semiconductor? Before knowing the concept of intrinsic semiconductor, it is waste to understand the concept of extrinsic semiconductor. Actually, intrinsic semiconductor means it is pure form of semiconductor. Pure semiconductors are intrinsic semiconductor. Yes, that means extrinsic semiconductors are impure semiconductors. Intrinsic semiconductors are pure semiconductors and extrinsic semiconductors are impure semiconductors. What is the meaning of pure semiconductors here? We know that there are only two types of semiconductors. Those are silicon and germanium. Those are the basic semiconductors. Actually, we have lot of semiconductors right now. Those are all transition semiconductors. Okay, allied. We used to call that as allied materials, allied semiconductors. But naturally occurred semiconductors are silicon and germanium. Here, pure type of semiconductor means the electron density is same. Okay, the electron density of a semiconductor is same. What is that means? The number of electrons is equal to the number of holes. In case of a pure semiconductor, number of electrons is equal to number of holes. That means in this particular case there are no free electrons. No free electrons. In case of pure semiconductor or intrinsic semiconductor, there are no free electrons. That's why the electrical conductivity doesn't take place. In case of a pure semiconductor or intrinsic semiconductor, electrical conductivity doesn't takes place. Then what we can call this? Then we can call this also as an insulator. A pure form of semiconductor is also called as insulator. Why? Because the number of free electrons is very less, or we don't have any number of free electrons in case of a pure type of semiconductor or intrinsic semiconductor. That is, number of electrons is equal to number of holes. In case of a free electrons or free holes only, we get the concept of conductivity. Without free electrons or free holes, there is no conductivity between the energy gaps of conduction band and valence band. That is why we used to call this intrinsic semiconductor as pure semiconductor. Then how we can achieve this extrinsic semiconductor? We can achieve this extrinsic semiconductor by the concept of doping one. How we can do doping? The extrinsic semiconductor means that is intrinsic semiconductor plus doping. If we do doping to the intrinsic semiconductor, then only we will get extrinsic semiconductor. How we can do this doping? What is the meaning of doping? That means if we are adding some impurities to this intrinsic semiconductor, then we will get extrinsic semiconductor. The concept of adding impurity to the intrinsic semiconductor is known as doping, or the elements or the dopants. What is the meaning of dopants? The elements which we are adding as the impurities to the intrinsic semiconductors are called as dopants. The impurities adding to the intrinsic semiconductors are called as dopants. Dopants are called as impurities. Here doping means the concept of adding these dopants to the intrinsic semiconductor is called as doping. And if we are doing doping to the intrinsic semiconductor, then we will get extrinsic semiconductor. Here the doping atom should be having the size nearly to the intrinsic semiconductor size. Okay, the size of the dopants is approximately equal to the size of the intrinsic semiconductor atoms. Then only the doping takes place very easily, otherwise it is impossible. Okay, please understand what I am saying. There are two different types of semiconductors. One is intrinsic semiconductor. We used to call such type of semiconductors are pure semiconductors or insulators. Why we used to call that as insulator? Because the number of free electrons is no in case of a pure semiconductor, or the number of electrons and holes is in an equal ratio. That's why we don't get any concept of electrical conductivity. If you want to make this insulator as conductor, then we have to do doping. If we do doping to the intrinsic semiconductor, then we will get the concept of extrinsic semiconductor. Extrinsic semiconductor is happening only if we are adding some impurities to the intrinsic semiconductor. That concept is doping, and the elements are dopants. This is all about semiconductors, intrinsic semiconductor and extrinsic semiconductor. There are two different types of extrinsic semiconductor. Again, we are seeing the two different types of extrinsic semiconductors. They are P type of extrinsic semiconductor, or we can also call that as P type of semiconductor or N type of semiconductor. There are two different types of semiconductors. They are P type of semiconductors and N type of semiconductor. What is the meaning of P type of semiconductor and what is the meaning of N type of semiconductors? This is also a important concept from your exam point of view. They may ask the question like this: explain P and N type of a semiconductors. By writing the neat diagram, explain the construction and working of a P type and N type of a semiconductor. Please explain. If they ask this question like this, you will get 5 marks in your examination. Let us see what is the meaning of P type or N type of semiconductors. P type and N type semiconductors are extrinsic semiconductors, not intrinsic semiconductors. Intrinsic semiconductors are not good conductors for electricity, they are insulators. And the first concept is P type of semiconductors. Actually, we got to know that there are two different types of semiconductors. They are P type of semiconductor and N type of semiconductor. First, we should know what is the meaning of P type of semiconductor. Actually, if we are doping intrinsic semiconductor, then we will get extrinsic semiconductor. How we are getting P type of semiconductor, that is most important. If we are adding trivalent impurity, if we are adding trivalent impurity to the intrinsic semiconductor, then we used to call such type of semiconductors as P type of semiconductor. What is the meaning of trivalent impurities? Trivalent impurity means in its outermost electron orbit. For example, if we consider this as a nucleus, this is first orbit, second orbit, this is, for example, let us assume this as a last orbit. In its outermost electron orbit, the number of free electrons has to be 3. If the number of free electrons in an outermost orbit of a atom is 3, then we used to call such type of impurities as trivalent impurities. And which are the materials which consisting of 3 free electrons in its outermost orbit? That is boron, indium, and gallium. Boron, indium and gallium. These are the elements which has 3 electrons in its outermost orbit. Better you can check this in your periodic table, then you will get to know the concept of what is the meaning of trivalent impurities and what is the meaning of pentavalent impurities. Likewise, in case of N type of semiconductors, if we are adding pentavalent impurities to the intrinsic semiconductor, then we used to call such type of semiconductors as N type of semiconductors. If we are adding pentavalent impurities to intrinsic semiconductor, then those are N type of semiconductor. If we are adding trivalent impurities to the intrinsic semiconductor, is called as P type of semiconductor. And here the examples for these N type of semiconductors are, that is arsenic, antimony, and there are some other pentavalent impurities are there. Arsenic, antimony and we have some other examples for pentavalent impurities. This means in its outermost orbit it should consist of 5 free electrons. In its outermost orbit it should consisting of 5 free electrons. Such type of impurities are called as pentavalent impurities. Then let us see what is the meaning of p type of semiconductor and how we are going to achieve p type of semiconductor and n type of semiconductor. Here p type of semiconductor means, for example, silicon or germanium. We can consider silicon or germanium as our intrinsic semiconductors. Okay, either you can call or either you can use silicon or germanium. Here I am considering silicon. In its outermost orbit it is consisting of 4 free electrons, either silicon or germanium. You can use any of these two. In both the atoms, the number of free electrons in case of a silicon or germanium is 4. The number of free electrons are 4. Let us assume this as 1 electron, and this as second electron, and this as third electron, and this as a fourth electron. Let us assume this as a number of free electrons in case of a silicon atom, the 4 free electrons in a semiconductor. Now if we are adding some impurity, which kind of impurity? In case of a p type of semiconductor we should add trivalent impurity, for example boron. Okay, if we are adding boron to these impurities, okay, if we are adding boron as an impurity to the intrinsic semiconductor, here in this case we have number of free electrons as 3 in its outermost shell. In its outermost shell, the number of free electrons in case of a boron is 3. Okay. Now here what we have is number of free electrons are 3. 1, 2, 3. And what about this? This is a gap, or we used to call that as vacancy, or we can also call that as hole. Hole or vacancy, we can call like this. The number of free electrons in its outermost shell of a boron atom is 3 only, and the one atom is free. Here in this region only one part is going to free, or we can call this as hole or vacancy. Okay, here also we do the same. Here also we have one hole or vacancy. Here also we have one hole. Okay, and in case of boron, here also we have one hole. Okay. Now these are free electrons. I have already said that in silicon we have 4 free electrons in its outermost orbit, and these are also our free electrons, because in boron atom also the number of free electrons in its outermost shell is 3. Now what it can do is the free electrons jump from its initial position to the other position. What is that means? These electron can go to occupy the vacancy. These electrons may jump from its position and it can go and occupy the other vacancies or holes. Here hole means that is a vacancy. Vacancy means the electron can come and sit in its vacancy position. But here the size of the hole has to be equal to the size of the electron. Okay, then only the electron can jump and come and sit. Here I have written in a large manner, that is for the concept of understanding. Okay, if you want to understand, then we have to write a bigger hole. That's why I have written some big hole here. Actually, this is approximately equal to the size of a electron only. The hole should be equal to the size of a electron, and here we will get vacancy once it jumps to occupy the another vacancy. Then here we will get a vacancy. Then this may come and occupy its position, and here we will get vacancy, and this may go and occupy this position, and this may go and occupy this position, and this may come and occupy this position. We don't know how electrons jumping, and we don't know to which position the electron is going to jump. Okay, now the electron transition takes place in this material. Okay, the electron is jumping from one position to the another position and one position to the another position. Here the number of free holes are there. In case of a p type of semiconductors, number of holes is greater than number of electrons, because we are adding trivalent impurity to the intrinsic semiconductor. Trivalent impurity means the number of free electrons are more. Actually, this is the concept of p type of semiconductor. If we are adding trivalent impurities as boron or indium or gallium to the intrinsic semiconductor called silicon or germanium, the number of free holes is more compared to the number of free electrons. Then we will get the concept of conductivity. This is how we are achieving conductivity in case of a extrinsic semiconductor. Extrinsic semiconductors are very good conductors in nature. We have seen p type of semiconductor. Likewise only we have n type of semiconductors. In the case of n type of semiconductor, we have already seen that we are going to add pentavalent impurities. In case of n type of semiconductors, we are adding pentavalent impurities. Those are arsenic and antimony. Arsenic and antimony are the impurities we are adding to the intrinsic semiconductor. Here what we have is germanium. For example, let us assume this as a germanium. Germanium also has 4 free electrons in its outermost shell. Germanium also having 4 free electrons in its outermost shell. Now if we are adding arsenic as a impurity, pentavalent impurity, if we are adding arsenic as a pentavalent impurity, okay, now arsenic has a 5 free electron in its outermost shell. Arsenic has 5 free electrons in its outermost shell. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 is extra. We can write that anywhere. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is this means? These are all free electrons. These are all free electrons. In case of arsenic material, these are all free electrons. Here, if the electron is jumping from this position to the another position, here the electron vacancy takes place. When only the electron is jumping from its position to the another position. Then here the concept of vacancy takes place. Then this electron may come and occupy this position. We don't know which electron occupies which position, that we don't know. That is why we have written like this. Or this electron may go and vacancy can achieve here, and this electron may come and occupy that position. But in this case, it is similar to p type of semiconductor. P type semiconductor and n type semiconductor both are same. but in case of n type of semiconductors, we have more number of electrons compared to more number of holes. Okay, number of electrons. In case of a n type of semiconductor, number of electrons is greater than the number of holes. In case of n type of semiconductor, number of electrons is very much greater than compared to the number of holes. But in case of p type of semiconductor, number of holes is greater than the number of electrons. Once again, I am going to explain these two type of semiconductor. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ, p type of semiconductors ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಸಿಲಿಕಾನ್ ನಾವು ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೀವಿ. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ ಸಿಲಿಕಾನ್ ಅಥವಾ ಜರ್ಮೇನಿಯಂ ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತಾ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. ಈ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಔಟರ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಶೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ 4 ಫ್ರೀ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಈ 4 ಫ್ರೀ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಬೋರಾನ್ ಏನು ಟ್ರೈವೇಲೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಪ್ಯೂರಿಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಔಟರ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಶೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀ 3 ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. 1 2 3. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಖಾಲಿ ಜಾಗ. ಆ ಖಾಲಿ ಜಾಗನ ನಾವು ವೇಕೆನ್ಸಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊತೀವಿ ಅಥವಾ ಹೋಲ್ ಅಂತಾನು ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. ಈ ಹೋಲ್ದು ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೋ ಆ ಸ್ಪೇಸು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಸೈಜ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಈ ಹೋಲ್ದು ಸೈಜು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಸೈಜ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೂ ವೇರಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ಬಾರ್ದು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಿಷನ್ಸ್ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಲ್ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿರುತ್ತೋ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ದೇ ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಇನ್ ನೇಚರ್. ಓಕೆ, ತುಂಬಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ಕಾಣ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಫಿಲ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅವು ಯಾವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಓಡಾಡ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಫ್ರೀ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತಹ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಹೋಲ್ ಪೇರ್ ಕಂಬೈನ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಅವಾಗ ರೆಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಹೋಲ್ ಪೇರ್ ಕಾಂಬಿನೇಷನ್ ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಬರೀ ಇದೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ಫ್ರೀ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ದಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಜಂಪ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ಎನಿ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಇದೇ ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಕುತ್ಕೋಬಹುದು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕುತ್ಕೋಬಹುದು, ಈ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕುತ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಜಂಪ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು. ಈಗ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಈ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಜಂಪ್ ಆಗಿ ಈ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ನ ಅಕ್ವೈರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಎಂಟಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಗೆಟ್ ದ ಕಾನ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಹೋಲ್. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಲ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ the number of free holes in case of a p type of semiconductor is more compared to the n type of semiconductor. n type of semiconductors ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫ್ರೀ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. p type of semiconductors ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಫ್ರೀ ಹೋಲ್ಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. in case of a p type of semiconductor, number of free holes is more compared to the number of free electrons. But in case of a p type of semiconductor, number of free electrons is more compared to the number of free holes. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇದೇ ರೀತಿ ಉಲ್ಟಾ ಕೇಸು n ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೆಮಿಕಂಡಕ್ಟರ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ನೀವು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಲಿಕಾನ್ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು, ಜರ್ಮೇನಿಯಂ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತಾ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ಜರ್ಮೇನಿಯಂ ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೀವಿ. ಜರ್ಮೇನಿಯಂ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅದರದ್ದು ಔಟರ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಶೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ 4 ಫ್ರೀ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ತೋರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪೆಂಟಾವೆಲೆಂಟ್ ಇಂಪ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಲೈಕ್ ಆರ್ಸೇನಿಯಂ, ಆಂಟಿಮೋನಿ, ಈ ತರದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ 5 ಫ್ರೀ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅದರದ್ದು ಔಟರ್ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಶೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ 5 ಫ್ರೀ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ತೋರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೀವಿ ನಾವು. ಈ 5 ಫ್ರೀ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದು ಫ್ರೀ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್. ಓಕೆ, ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ನಾನು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ದೇ ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಇನ್ ನೇಚರ್. ಅದು ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಜಂಪ್ ಆಗ್ಲಿ ಅಂತಾನೆ ಆಗ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಫ್ರೀ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್. ಒನ್ಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಎಸ್ಕೇಪ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್, ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಈ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಇಂದ ಜಂಪ್ ಆಗೋಯ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಲ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಿರುವಂತ ಹೋಲ್ ನ ನಾವು ರೀಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ ಬಂದು ಜಂಪ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕುತ್ಕೋಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂಥರ ಆಟ ಇದ್ದಂಗೆ ಈ ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ವೇಕೆನ್ಸಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ನಾವು ಕುತ್ಕೋಬಿಡ್ಬೇಕು. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದೇರ್ ಗೋಲ್. ನೌ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ see the number of electron transition takes place inside a n type of semiconductor. Okay, and this is how we are achieving the number of free electrons is greater than number of free holes in case of a n type of semiconductor. This is all about p type of and n type of semiconductor. Using these semiconductors we can achieve diode, or we can call that as PN junction diode. We can discuss that later in our next sessions. And this is all about today's class. We have discussed about energy level diagrams and conductors, insulators, semiconductor, different types of semiconductors. Those are intrinsic semiconductor, extrinsic semiconductor. In case of extrinsic semiconductor, we have two different types. They are p-type and n-type of semiconductor. This is all about today's class. If there is any doubt, please ask me later. Thank you.